Welcome to Making the Merge, the number 25 Survivor podcast in the nation. Okay, I don't know if that's still true, but at one point we were. And it's just in the TV and film category, so it's not like of all podcasts, if that makes sense. Anyway, it's a solo pod this week. That's right. It's just me, the C-H-A-S-E, Chase. I feel like a radio DJ, like you're driving home from like a road trip and it's 2 a.m. and you're tired and you've got the radio playing because you've already listened to your same 3 playlists over and over. And so you're like, well, what's the radio got to offer? Spoiler alert, not much. Just some guy being like, duh, welcome to Making the Merge Radio, FM. We're going to be talking about... Okay, I'm done. Basically, I'm alone this week because I'm the only one that takes this any seriously. Seriously. I'm the only one that cares about you guys, our fans, the audience. I almost called you our lovers. That would have been uncomfortable. See, this was the problem. PD, who, is usually in charge of things, was a little worried me being by myself this week because he wouldn't be there to stop me from calling you guys our lovers. And I was a little offended. I was like, dude, I am a grown man. You don't have to worry. You don't have to supervise me. And then within a minute and a half of the podcast episode, I call you guys our lovers. So maybe he was on to something. Let's start breaking down this week's episode of Survivor, dude. So right off the bat, I don't know if you guys remember, the backlash from last week caused Andy to be the backup vote. However, because Rome is the cockiest man on the planet, he didn't actually put Andy's name down. He puts, I don't know whose name he put down. Sam's name. He put Sam's name down, right? So then Soul ended up being the only person who put down Andy's name. And so now in this episode, we get to see Andy beefing with Soul for voting for him last week. And I was concerned at first because Andy has kind of become, how do I say this? Competent. He started off incompetent. Now he's getting pretty good at the game, and he's got beef with my main man, Soul. Now, if you're new to the podcast and you don't know how this works, this is our Survivor draft. And I have, or had, 4 players on my team. My number 1 draft pick was Soul, baby. So if Soul goes home, I'm kind of in a bad position, which we'll get to bad positions here in a minute. Genevieve and Andy are working together, as we find out in this episode. And Genevieve even takes a second and says, yeah, Andy is my number 1. Andy is someone I want to work with. So that's like my worst nightmare. Because again, if you're new to the pod, if Genevieve makes it to the final 3, I have to get a tattoo of my co-host's choice. And I even made a bigger bet that if Genevieve wins the whole season, they get to do an even crazier tattoo. So I've got a lot of stake in Genevieve going home, and she seems to be playing like a boss. And now she's taking Andy, another player that I don't want to make it very far because he's on PD's team. And once again, this is the 3rd time I'm saying this, if you're new to the pod, PD has won the Survivor draft twice. Kristen has won once, and me and Jonathan have not won yet. So I really need a win. And so Genevieve and Andy teaming up to become a power couple is not looking good for me, okay? We get to the immunity challenge. Whoa, big curveball this week. It is a group immunity challenge. We have made the merge, no pun intended. Psych, I did mean that pun. I meant it on purpose. Anyway, it's a group immunity challenge. The group, so basically, for the immunity challenge, because we've reached the merge, so it should be individual immunity. However, they are divided into 2 separate teams. And the way that the rules work is if you are the last person standing for the challenge, period, the last person, then you have won immunity for your entire team. So your whole team is safe at immunity. And the other team is the only people that are voting and the only people on the chopping block. So that's how it gets really interesting. However, another little twist to this is if you are the last person standing on the losing team, then you get individual immunity. So you're safe at tribal. Now, I know what you're thinking. Chase, how does this go down? Well, thank you for asking. Basically, what happens is we have our winning team and we have our losing team. It really doesn't matter about the winning team. They get to go on a reward. They're having a good time. What's really interesting is the losing team. The losing team has all members of the same original tribe and then one person who's on the outs. And that one person is Rachel, who I have on my team. So I was panicking because I thought I was about to lose Rachel. Now, just a side note about my draft, I also have Tiana, and Tiana was also on the losing team. However, she was with the number, so I really wasn't worried about Tiana going home. I was mostly worried about Rachel. Kyle won the individual immunity for the losing tribe, so that means Kyle is safe from the losing tribe. This is where the episode really kicks into overdrive. The challenge was a very small part of the episode. A majority of this episode was tribal, like negotiations and drama, dude. So basically, Soul, who was on the winning tribe, finds an advantage while they're at the reward, which allows them to give an advantage to someone on the losing tribe. He can essentially save one of the people on the losing tribe from going home that night. And that is exactly what he does, because Soul uses the advantage to save Rachel, the person who was definitely going to go home tonight. Now we're in a situation, which reminds me of let's talk about two of my favorite quotes from this week. One of it is a Kyle quote of the week. That's right, baby. Kyle quote of the week. The Kyle quote of the week is, "She did her little wiggle." I don't even remember the context. I was laughing so hard. He just goes, "She did her little wiggle." What does that mean, Kyle? I think the context was that, like, she got out of something, but I don't even remember who he was talking about. I was laughing so hard, dude. My second favorite quote of the week, I can't remember who said it, but it was during the tribal. And one of the female contestants is, they're talking about how drastic it is. And someone goes, Jeff is like, "Oh, so this is what's going on." And they go, "Well, you put our pickle on blast." What does that mean? You put our pickle on blast, son. Okay, I know that's not really important for this episode, but I felt the need to talk about it. So, Soul saves Rachel. And now the rest of the tribe, the losing tribe, has to figure out who they're going to send home. There's Gabe. Kyle's safe. There's Tiana. I think Caroline. Caroline's also on the losing tribe. And dude, I really thought that Gabe was going to go home. They had worked together. Rachel was scrambling before she realized she was safe. And Rachel worked out a deal with like Tiana and Caroline. I think maybe Sue was on the losing tribe. Maybe, I don't remember. It really seemed like Gabe was going to go home. And I was over the moon about this. Because if Gabe went home, then that means that PD, the two-time reigning champion of our Survivor draft, would lose his star player, because the only people that PD has left on his team. Oh, so he had Asia, but she is gone. Then he has Gabe, Sue, and Andy. Now, we've already talked about how Andy could end up being a powerhouse. He's still really incompetent for the most part. So if Gabe went home, all PD would have is Sue and Andy. And those are not the two champions you want to be your only lifeline in winning this game. I mean, I'm sorry if that's offending anybody. Sue, our 45-year-old queen, I'm sorry. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry. So I was really excited because I was like, PD is screwed if he loses Gabe tonight. What ends up happening is Gabe does not go home. Gabe survives, and Tiana goes home, dude. I lose another player. So, for those of you keeping up at home, I only have 2 players left in my draft. I have Soul and I have Rachel. I've lost Tiana and I lost Keyshawn. Which, to be fair, I totally even forgot about Keyshawn. He was not a very, the MVP is the most valuable player. And that's definitely, for my team, Soul. Keyshawn was like, what's the opposite of a VIP? A peasant? Yeah, Keyshawn was a peasant, dog. While we're talking about our Survivor teams, let's do a little breakdown real quick. Jonathan, he still has Genevieve, Sierra, and Kyle. Kyle is a game player, dude. Kyle wins challenges, dude. Kyle says crazy stuff, and Kyle wins challenges, dog. That's just what Kyle do. Kyle could be a winner. I doubt it, but he could be. Let's talk about Kristen's team. Kristen is the only person who has, up to the week before, had all 4 players. Going into the merge, we were all tied with 3 players left. That is now changed because I only have 2 players left. But she had Rome, who just went home last week. But she still has Sam, Teeny, and Caroline. Teeny, another big potential winner, which is ironic because her name's Teeny. So you'd be like, she's a small chance winner. Sam, I think Sam is one of those players that we're going to see go home final 7. You know what I mean? Like if I had to guess. Like he's a good player, but he hasn't won many challenges, and there's going to be a challenge where someone's like, hey, he's a big guy. We got to send him home. Caroline, also kind of a sleeper pick. She is really good at playing the middle. She's definitely like a floater. Like she's not making big moves, as she proved in this week, because she could have made a big move by helping Tiana and Rachel get rid of Gabe, but she didn't. She played it safe and she stayed with Gabe, which is probably better for her in the long run. Those are the kind of players that make it to the final 3 and then don't get any votes. But, hey, the way I see Survivor, if I played, my goal really wouldn't be to win. My goal would be make it as long as I can, because after each elimination, you make more money for being there. So if you make top 3 and you don't win the $1 million, you're still making some checks, dude. You're making some checks, plural. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to give you the big check, the one big, huge $1 million check. They're going to give you like 4 or 5 little checks. And that's okay with me, dude. So, that being said, we're now going to take a caller. That's right. We're an FM radio DJ, and we're going to take a quick caller from one of our co-hosts who wasn't able to make it live, but sent us a voice message. So let's go ahead and play this voice message from PD.
Hello, Chase, and making the merge faithful. PD here representing Team PD, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody listening to this right now, because unlike some other podcasts, we don't have the CBS machine backing us. We don't have a long list of former players. We are just 4 random people beefing over a Survivor draft, and y'all are tuning in, so thank you for that. Last time I did one of these, I was without power for 7 days, and I had just spent like an hour and a half in my car watching my favorite baseball team get eliminated from the playoffs. And then I thought, you know what would cheer me up? Survivor. So I watched Survivor for another hour in my car, and then Aisha went home. So all of that together made me sound very unhinged and made me mispronounce a couple names. That's how Guinevere was born. So I wanted to, be a lot more humble and calm this time. Psych! Team Chase is down another player, and Team PD is in full swing, baby. That's right. As soon as we got to that challenge, I was like, you know what's going to happen? If yellow loses, Sam's going home. And if blue loses, Tiana's going home. And I could not have guessed how that all ended up playing out. It was wild. Soul really threw a wrench into all of that. But I was still right at the end of the day. Oh, and Jonathan and Kristen, do you think y'all are safe? No, because Andy is on the warpath. That's right. Sierra is going to be gone. Sam is going to be gone because Gata has got to go. And Andy is going to come out on top. So, Andy, warpath, book it. PD out.
PD out indeed. Now, see, here's the thing about PD. He's very good at remembering the names of the players and the tribes. Like, I forgot that one of the tribes was called Gotta. And if I would have known, well, I did know, but if I would have remembered that one of the tribes was named Gotta, I could have made that pun. Gotta go. You know? And I really wish I would have made that pun because that was a good joke, dude. That's the thing. I'm by myself. I don't have any of the competent people here. My job on the podcast is to just be entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing any real work. I'm not even remembering the tribe names. I'm just watching the episodes and being like, put our pickle on blast. I'll bring that up. That's all I do, man. Anyway, okay, we talked about pretty much everything, I think. However, I want to double check here. I did take some notes because I figured I'd be alone this week. Here, let's go check some TikTok comments. We love all our fans over on TikTok. Hey man, kind of been on a warpath. Speaking of warpath, PD just mentioned PD is a huge Andy champion. He really thinks that Andy's going to go the distance, and there is no way Andy wins this game. If Andy wins this game, I think he would probably be one of the most unexpected winners, one of the most unexpected Soul Survivors in Survivor history. Because usually, when you get down to the final 6, you kind of have a basic idea of your final 3. If Andy comes anywhere near the final 6, I will be flabbergasted, dog. Okay, I'm going to read some comments from our Kyle TikTok. We made a TikTok talking about our Kyle quotes of the week last week. We got a comment from Emily that said, referring to himself in third person as no vote Kyle made me laugh. Yeah, dude, Kyle's hilarious. This one was good. Kyle says that he gave $120. He says, if you know me, I give $120. Meaning he gives 120%. That's another good one. A lot of Kyle fans. People are calling him the new JT. I think that's a little racist just because he's a country white guy. Someone said a lot of people are rooting for him. A lot of people say that bro makes me happy. Kyle's out here making people happy, dog. Another Kyle quote from last week. There's only one hombre with immunity tonight, and that he is me. Another Kyle quote. I'm the most honest dumbass here. What is Kyle on, dude? Kyle is a quote machine. I didn't even catch some of these. Here's another one. I'm about as froggy as all get out right now. Someone makes a very good point. Jordan in BK says, rooting for Kyle. I hope he doesn't go on a challenge streak and put a big target on his back. That's exactly what he's doing. Jordan in BK. He has won 2 immunities in a row. Now, granted, he didn't win the big immunity this week. He just won the individual immunity for himself. He was still, on the losing team. However, people are going to catch on that he is a tribal challenge beast. Let's see here. Any more Kyle comments? Nope. That's another thing about this. PD, I think, has to edit this. Or if he just leaves it unedited, there's just going to be a little gap where I'm thinking because I don't have anyone to play off of. We're going to go through some comments on our Andy TikTok where we talk about when Andy makes the comment being like blindsiding someone was fun as hell, dude. Someone said, I respect Andy for having the guts to tell the truth and say that in front of everyone, but it does put a bigger target on his back now. I don't know. I think he's still kind of goofy. They're just like, oh, that Andy. Someone said, Blindside City. That's what's up. That's the name of my new EP. Someone said, I thought the cast when they first revealed was going to be boring, but it's actually a good season. There's a lot of Survivor fans who dislike the last few seasons, and I've been noticing on the Survivor subreddit that they actually really like this season. I don't think that there's been that big of an upgrade in quality. I think the past 3 or 4 seasons have all been really good, maybe with the exempt of like 4 seasons ago. Someone said, Andy is definitely neurodivergent, and I love characters like him because this would be me. He's not a character. He's a real person. Someone else says, if Andy has no fans, I'm dead. On God, Mrs. Spooky on TikTok. I agree. I'm not rooting for Andy because I'm really rooting against PD winning another year. However, as just a fan of Survivor, just a visual learner of the Survivor gods, I'm just taking it into my eyeballs. I am a fan of Andy. Someone said, who was Annika's partner out there? Rachel? She must hate Andy after that comment. That is interesting, that any alliance members of the person who got blindsided could take beef with that statement. We got another comment that said, where can we find the other seasons of Making the Merge? This is it. This is the only season we've done of Making the Merge. This is how people see our TikTok numbers and like, oh, they must have been around for a while. Nope. We're like 6 weeks into this podcast, baby. Thank you all for listening. We've been having a ton of fun. I'm having fun right now by myself. I don't got Jonathan and PD and Kristen bringing me down. I don't know if you guys listened to last week, but they made me feel bad about myself. I lost a player this week, which means I would have gotten bullied and harassed by my friends for a live audience to hear. And by live, I mean live in your car when you're listening to this on the way to work. And you would have been listening to me get bullied because I lost a player. But instead, it's just me this week, and I'm deciding it's going to be a positive episode. Yeah, we all lose people sometimes. This is going to be a message about grief. So buckle in. Sometimes in life, you lose someone, and they go home. They're not even on the jury. And I think that's a metaphor for, if you're religious and someone dies in your life and they weren't religious and you're like, oh no, they're not going to heaven. They didn't make the merge. They didn't make the jury, dog. But you got to persevere because you got other people in your life. You got other people in your draft, on your tribe. Yeah. You might have lost grandma. You might have lost grandma, but you still got Soul. Soul is number 1 on the draft pick, baby. You still got Soul. You still got Rachel. Rachel almost went home. You almost lost Rachel too. But instead you lost grandma. But you still got Soul. Maybe Soul is your favorite cousin or a best friend. And they're going to win it for you. They're going to go all the way. They're going to die after you die. So that way you don't have to go through the grief of losing them. All right, this is going off the rails. I need to wrap it up before I get in trouble with my co-hosts. They might even cut that. They cut my stuff. I want you guys to know that I have jokes in episodes that they cut out because they can't contain me. Okay. This has been a great episode of Making the Merge. That's really funny for me to say considering it was just me by myself. It's just me talking to myself for 30 minutes or 20 minutes and then being like, hey man, this was a great episode. Great work from me this week. Oh man. And what's really funny is when this episode comes out and we're going to drop clips, we're going to actually see, we have actual measurements to see if I'm good as a host by myself. Because if we post the clips from this week and they don't do well, then that means they're never going to let me do this by myself again. You know how ridiculous that is? I am a grown man with a fairly successful online following. And I have 3 co-hosts that are like, we can't let Chase do things by himself. He's bad for business. Oh, man. Hey, you've been listening to Making the Merge. This has been so much fun. We've been having a great time these past few weeks. This is our first season of Making the Merge. We're definitely going to be doing more every single season because we're having so much fun. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. TikTok's where we throw all our clips. We have the clips on Instagram as well, but if you follow us on Instagram, you'll also kind of get update graphics to kind of see how our tribes are going. We post some memes and stuff on there too. So for the full experience, you want to kind of follow us everywhere. We're so grateful. We're so appreciative of how well this has been going because we didn't expect anyone to listen. We just were doing this for us. One last plug. I do want to say, going off of the comment we got on TikTok earlier about where can I see the other seasons. We did document our last season's draft in like a video essay documentary style thing, and you can find that on Jonathan Wright's YouTube channel. You'll find it if you follow us on socials. You could just go to Jonathan's page and find his YouTube channel. It's Jonathan Wright. And so yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much. This has been so much fun. PD out.